quite a phenomenon here. There are a lot of fantastical tales, if you like, myth. Of course, some of us fanatics, we don't like to consider it as myth or tale. Guru Rinpoche is a very unique phenomenon. For Bhutanese, not only we have a very special relationship with him because he was supposed to have visited here and left a lot of prints, footprints, back prints, all kinds of prints. So we have really celebrated places like Sengzong, Parutaksang, Bumthang. Then also, Guru Rinpoche had a sort of a romantic connection with Bhutan too. One of his very beloved ladies supposedly from Bhutan. And we are some of us are kind of proud of that. Memo Tashichitan, I think, somewhere in Kutta. I think it is safe to say that there's not a single temple in Bhutan where Guru Rinpoche is not depicted. So you will see Guru Rinpoche in all kinds of forms. The domineering school or the tradition that is practiced in Bhutan, which is Nyingma and Kagyu, both revere and venerate Guru Rinpoche and has a deep Guru Rinpoche practice in the both tradition. Some may think that it is only Nyingma that practices Guru Rinpoche, but it is not really true. For instance, Kunchen Pema Karpo, one of the great Drupakaju commentator, if you like, he's one of the great Tertun. So there's that. So there's paintings, frescoes, small tankas, big tankas, and then we have Tsechu, for instance, right? The 10th day, Guru Rinpoche day. And then we have Dupche, or the Domche, that's how we pronounce, where highlight of the sort of the Domche festival is marked by the dance of Guru Rinpoche. So Guru Rinpoche is a very big deal. And Guru Rinpoche also seemed to have a big sort of impact on not only in this life, but for the Bhutanese mind. There's all that concept of Sangdoperi, copper-colored mountain, which is what the follower of the Guru Rinpoche wishes to reborn, so to speak. That's where the follower of the Guru Rinpoche wants to migrate for good. And I have to say, Guru Rinpoche has a very special appeal to even traditionally not a Buddhist countries. It's quite an amazing thing. Like when you meet, like the European, American, many, those who may not necessarily have a lot of information on Buddhism, somehow many of them do have attraction to Guru Rinpoche. I don't know. There are all kinds of reasons for this, I'm sure. such as, like the Shakyamuni Buddha, who actually is the sort of the ultimate boss of the Buddha Dharma, appears to be very serene and kind of very pure and monkish, and so kind of very wild-natured Croatians, English, German, I don't know, somehow they seem to be more attracted to Guru Rinpoche, who sort of hangs around with like 8 women, rides tiger, doesn't really say no to alcohol. So I guess, even on this level, there's some sort of appeal of Guru Rinpoche to even those who are totally, who has really nothing much to do with Buddhism. But anyway, so who is this Guru Rinpoche? Now the Guru, to begin to talk about this, I have to say a little bit about Guru. And I have to say, unfortunately, Guru, this term Guru is overly used, and it's almost become a derogatory term. Guru is, especially past maybe 30 years, the whole phenomena of Guru is marred with all kinds of, not that favorable circumstance and situation. We live in this earth and it's not always perfect, and many times Guru is the most lucrative business. So it ends up ends up becoming very materialistic also. This has happened. And but there's something very deeper meaning or not just the meaning, the deeper sort of the world of Guru. If you really, especially if you look into the Tantric tradition, there's a very beautiful story, I think the Upanishad. If you have read Upanishad, you will know. Once there was a father and son, and this father told the son that he need to become learned. He need to learn. He need to study. He need to read. He need to be educated. So father told the son that the son must go and visit this great master who lives nearby. Really, really great Guru. But before I get into this, I just want to say Guru, Sanskrit term Guru, is loosely translated as a master or the teacher, which is translated as Lama in the Choke. In Dzongkar is Lam, right? And La, Ma. Ma is a negative word, La is above, so it's something to do with the peerless, nothing above. Very precious, supposedly. Okay, anyway, going back to that story. So the father managed to send the son to this master, and for years he studied. Everything that master could teach, he taught. And the son becomes so good. After so many years, the son returned to the father, and the father, upon seeing the son, of course, there's a changed son, educated, very well versed, everything. But the father was very disappointed, very sad. And when son said, I did what you asked. And in fact, I actually learned everything that master taught. And master himself told me that he is equal to the master as far as the knowledge is concerned. As far as there's anything to be teachable, I have been taught. And the father said, see, this is the problem. You have learned everything that is teachable. And therefore, you are not perfect. You go back. You have to have a guru who can teach you that cannot be taught. So then the son went back. Supposedly, the story is kind of long. And then and this guru, the master, said, well, why are you here? I've taught everything, what I know. And the son said, well, my father said, that's the problem, that you taught me everything that is teachable. And I'm here to learn that cannot be taught. And then master sat for a long time and said, good. Now you go and bring something like 300 cows to the forest. And don't ever come back until these 300 cows become 1,000 cows. And I have nothing, that's it. And that's what son did, supposedly. Anyway, to make the story very short, he spent so many years, it takes a long time to, I guess, multiply cows into 1,000. So it took long time, and anyway, there he was alone. Cows don't talk to him. He can't talk to cows. Forests, trees, mountains, you can't really communicate in our normal way. And then he learned something that cannot be learned. Upanishad, Hindu, what so-called Hinduism, which I always have to stress, so-called Hinduism, because Hinduism is not, the word Hinduism is invented by British or the Abrahamic people. There was never such thing as Hinduism. And anyway, for the sake of communication, so-called Hinduism and Buddhism and Jainism is really profound. And this is very important, actually, to understand the allegory of this story. The sort of message of this story is really profound. And it actually has an influence to many of our nuances. For instance, like we say, Lam Jeva Joge, Je, Lakang Jeva Joges, Jal. The Jal, the word, the Choke Jal, actually is a translation from the Sanskrit word darshan. Darshan means seeing. Seeing is so important than thinking and understanding. When you see, there's nothing concealing. It's totally naked. It is totally direct. That is so important. And of course, down the line, it all gets, it has now become a culture and a ritual, of course. You go to Lam Jeva, you need chanje. If Amnetan is here, I shouldn't be talking this, but you need chanje, you need, offerings, kadas, all of that. And I'm not against the ritual, by the way. Rituals are necessary, but down the line, you end up missing the point. The point is to see. But to see what? And this is let us discuss this a little later. I don't want to get too sort of go astray because I'm supposed to talk about Guru Rinpoche, right? So Guru Rinpoche is like the embodiment, the quintessence of this Guru. So from this context, Guru is not really bound by gender, citizenship, color, shape, etc., etc. I mean, as we know, Guru Rinpoche, who came to Bumthang, who went to Parotaktsang, well, wait a minute, the one who went to Parotaktsang, now the historians may, sort of attack me, so I want to be a little bit careful here. One who went to, let's say, Sengizong, who was he? From the external point of view, he was a Pakistani. Do you know that? He was a Pakistani. He was born in Swat. And description actually fits quite well. And even, I mean, this is really not a nice thing for me to think that way, but when you see these Talibans with their turban and with this broad shoulder, they're so handsome, and the beard, and they're just, the macho and just such a elegant, you know what I'm talking about? The way they move, and also it's described in the, some of the texts, like this land, it's called Odiana, by the way, and now, of course, it's called, I think like Afghanistan, Swat places. The description of these places, like this, all this Pao and Pamo. Pao, Pao. What is Pao? Veer, Veer, Pao. Pao is like courageous. Someone who really doesn't give a damn about things. Someone who kind of does things like, a little bit more than the norm. And you can say, those Taliban fits the sort of the image, don't you think? So, in a way, yes, Guru Rinpoche is a Taliban. Externally speaking, I'm telling you. Guru Rinpoche. Okay. Now, when we talk about Guru Rinpoche, then there are some fantastical sort of very, very over the top stuff that you will hear. For instance, he was born from the lotus, right? And that's what? And I'm telling you, there's many, even among the, the Tibetan Buddhism, there are a lot of, especially new translations. They actually really criticize these things, saying that this is a complete joke, this is a disgrace to Buddhism, this is, first of all, Buddhism is very, very proud of being really not theistic, and so on and so forth. And here we are talking about someone who is born in the lotus. And someone who never died. Now that is just scientifically not acceptable, isn't it? So who's this? And then also when you read the life of the Guru Rinpoche, it sounds like he has lived for 900 years or so on and so forth. It doesn't really connect. And by the way, just as a footnote, even from the Nyingma tradition, there are traditions and there are methods such as Zelenato Rangdul, where it is clearly stated that Guru Rinpoche is not necessarily born in the lotus. He was a prince. Okay, so I just want to throw that in. But I want to talk more about this lotus-born business, because I'm sure many of your friends, your intellectual friends, have looked on you as, what's wrong with you, like you follow this guy who is born from a lotus. But this is very profound. Remember, I was talking about something that you're learning, something that cannot be taught. See, what we are trying to teach is something that cannot be taught. The only way to teach something that cannot be taught is by making this kind of completely like beyond our normal way of thinking, like 4 plus 4 is 8. You have to go beyond that. And it is also very poetic, actually. It's very poetic. The lotus represents in the ancient Indian culture, lotus is very important symbolism. Lotus symbolizes, well, to begin with, if you talk about analogy, lotus is beautiful. It's so, nice to look at, and it's pristine, and it's so beautiful, but it's born in the mud. Yet, it's not stained by the mud, so on and so forth, right? So, lotus actually here represents your devotion, your mind. The nature, absolute nature of your mind is, even though you roam around yourself in the stained, defiled world, you roam around in the bar, you may be fighting changjiji, you may be, overdosing here and there, you may be, you may be stealing, you may be lying, you may be, with all of that, the absolute nature of your mind is as pure as lotus. And it's believed that when we say Guru Rinpoche is born from the lotus, the moment you have the devotion towards the Guru, that devotion is the blossoming of the lotus. And there, the Guru Rinpoche is there. It's not like, sort of slow motion, first the lotus is born, and then slowly the petal comes out, and then, like Guru Rinpoche sort of materializes. It's not like that. You understand? So it's, you have to think. It's very, very profound. So actually the concept of lotus born is a really to the certain extent, the Shakyamuni Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, who was born in Lumbini 2,500 years ago, was a prince who renounced the life, worldly life. That happened 2,500 years ago, and he's dead. I'm not using the honorific language here, but he's finished. You understand? So, in a way, very distant from us. And 2,500 years has gone ever since Buddha Shakyamuni came on this earth. And we are supposedly the follower of him, and we are supposedly is doing what he said. And so now how do we trust? How do we trust? Suppose, like I whisper to one of you here, and then you whisper to the other, another whisper to another. By the time it reaches to the 10th, the information will be distorted. And here we are talking about 2,500 years, and thousands of human and different nationalities, Sanskrit speaking, Pali speaking, Bhutanese speaking, Tibetan speaking, and God only knows what has happened there. Some of them may be drunk, some of them may be, we don't know. So, this is where the concept of Guru Rinpoche, lotus born, is so special, because here we are talking about the Buddha within. You don't travel back to 2,500 years. The moment Gangshik Mepa, in fact, Guru Rinpoche, the historical Guru Rinpoche himself said, Devachana Pejung Gonyal Yö, meaning those who have devotion, I am sleeping right in front of your door. Of course, it's very poetically, uttered, but when you talk about, yes, so when you have the devotion, the moment you have the devotion, the Guru Rinpoche is invoked, Guru Rinpoche is materialized, the Guru Rinpoche has happened. Okay. Now, if you are asking me why then Tsechu, like age manifestation, like Guru Tsenje, I'm sure you must have, why that, and why frescoes, why Guru Rinpoche with all sorts of like different form, like some are Guru Takpo. There's one Guru Rinpoche that comes in the form of a scorpion, by the way. And I just want to mention this to you because of recent whatever is happening, like the Ebola epidemic. Like if you are a follower of Guru Rinpoche, and if you happen to be want you to sort of take care of this kind of what we call Nyen is like a disease that is kind of, I don't know how to translate this properly, but it's like, it is not supposed to be human disease, but it ended up becoming human disease, so to speak. You understand? Like the very contagious things that end up becoming epidemic. By the way, there has been a lot of questions. People have sent me so many questions. I can't really answer all, but there. I'm choosing maybe about one or two, three maybe, and one of them is something to do with all the. There's a seemingly sort of continuous sort of situation of taking one's own life, like suicide, and that could be explained as some kind of a trend. There's a certain disease that is a trend. Trend. I don't know. Maybe I'm not putting it properly. It's like United Benetton of color or something like that, or a Nike shoes. It becomes a trend. Let's all try to look like Korean boys. Right? Then suddenly it ends up becoming a trend. It ends up becoming a trend for like a year or two until something else comes in, right? And there are good trends and there are neutral trends and there are sometimes unfavorable trends. Some of these trends, I think, in the traditional Bhutanese society, we also call them si. Are you familiar with the word si? Because si. But let's not go into that too much. Anyway, trend, epidemic, which is manifested by the group phenomena and group karma. So I just want to mention that, Guru Rinpoche, also Guru Takpo, especially wrathful Guru Rinpoche, comes in the form of scorpion, so on and so forth. So, the question is, why different manifestations of Guru Rinpoche? 8 manifestation of Guru Rinpoche is an incredibly vast, deep teaching. I mean, every year during the Thimphu Tsechu Dromche, there is amazing, beautiful depiction of Guru Rinpoche's 8 manifestation of performing. And I don't think we will be talking about whole 8 manifestation of Guru Rinpoche But just to give you an idea, for instance, there is Guru Pema Jebo. Guru Pema Jebo is a blue mask. Well, I mean, of course, Guru Rinpoche cannot be masked, but in the Tseju, if you go during the Tseju, there's a blue mask dance. Guru Pema Jebo, just make a note. And usually it's really difficult for the dancer because, you don't see, because, there's no hole in the, very little, very small. And so the dance is very slow, so you can't miss it. Probably you will deliberately. Anyway, Pema Jebo represent the very nature of the basic goodness of human being, that we are, no matter where we are, what we do, what we eat, who we associate, our basic fundamental nature is Buddha. To represent that, we have Guru Pema Jebo, for instance. Okay? And then also there's Guru Shakya Sangye, for instance. Guru Shakya Sangye is basically like a Shakyamuni Buddha. Okay, he looks like a Shakyamuni Buddha. That Guru Rinpoche represents the... okay, before explaining this, Guru Rinpoche that we know of, like Guru Dorje Dole, Guru Sangye Dado, Guru Rinpoche, one who went to Tibet, one who went to Sangye Dzong, one who went to Bumthang, one who came to Taksang, all of that, by the way, is avatar. Nirmanakaya. Nirmanakaya means tulku, tubiku, tulku. Tubi Guru Tsenje Tang, we say tulku, tulpa. Tulpa means manifestation. Okay, it's a show. Basically, it's a show. And when we talk about a show, bear in mind, when we talk about a show, you always have to talk about the audience. If there's no audience, there's no show. So, different kinds of audience have different kinds of show. Different kinds of time, different kinds of show, different kind of manifestation. So, for instance, like Guru Shakya Sangye is very serene, disciplined, robes, gently walking, all that element of serenity, discipline, morality, don't do bad things, do the right things, don't steal, don't lie, all that kind of, like, sort of, if you like, moralistic kind of aspect. So there is that Guru Rinpoche too. And then we have Guru Dorje Tole. Now that is what we are specially connected to, Guru Pataksang. Guru Dorje Tole. Dorje Tole. Dorje Tole is sometimes, in the Turkey, Chol. This is in Dzongkha also. Che. Che means like almost like crazy, right? Crazy. Gone mad, gone crazy. Gone crazy, gone mad, gone, Che. So Dorje Tole has that element. So now what are we talking here? Are we saying that we, in Bhutan, we got the part of the sort of lunatic part, sort of, like that? Is that sort of our share, so to speak? No. Actually, Guru Dorje Tole, that element of chol is so important. And I think we talked about that during our last meeting here, when we briefly talked about Drupa Kunle, remember? Outrageousness and elegance. And here, Guru Rinpoche is completely going beyond all these social expectations and social norms. going beyond all of this usual zone. I mean, after all, what is a spiritual path if it is not keep on pulling rug out of your feet? That is the job of the spiritual path. It should always pull out the rug from, it should never let you for a minute stand and be comfortable. That's the whole point of the spiritual path. And this is something important that you know, because this is also unique to, I would say, like Hindu, Jainism, Buddhism, especially Buddhism. Buddhism is never really interested in in the whole Buddhist scripture, there is no interest in creating social etiquette or social ethic. It's not interested in basically creating a Buddhist republic of blah blah blah. You understand what I'm saying? It doesn't have that kind of Sharia law, if you like. It does have discipline. It does have, like Shila, but the discipline, the Shila that Buddhism practice is always got to do with unlocking your delusion and making you, and as a method to understand the truth. If your discipline, such as, like not drinking, not smoking, not doing this or doing that, if that discipline is not helping you to pull rug out of your feet, that discipline is actually deceiving you. So and here you will see a lot of, people who are just so proud of, themselves being great, like vegetarian, great, whatever, I don't know, like non-alcoholic. You understand? And it doesn't serve the purpose. It has to really pull the rug out of your feet. You understand? The dorji tole. Okay? So just to give you a glimpse of, and I think we Buddhists should be so happy that we got that share, so to speak, right? Because we Buddhists are not so good with the discipline, and I think we are so lucky. So Dorji Tole, and with the spirit of the Guru Dorji Tole is like really uniting and appreciating the elegance and the outrageousness. Dwelling in the mud, yet remain pure like a lotus. To be in the world, but not contaminated by the world. That's brave. That's a courage. And that's a compassion, by the way. That's not selfish. Because you are not looking down at these sort of samsara, worldly, negative, unethical. You are not looking down. Let me try to make it more concrete, because I'm talking about the historical Guru Rinpoche, and I'm talking about something else, something that is not necessarily a historical Guru Rinpoche, which is actually much more important Guru Rinpoche, much more important than the historical Guru Rinpoche, I would say. Guru Rinpoche, another thing you need to make note, if you want to, Guru Rinpoche is means, it's not the end. It's like when you point finger to the moon, the finger is not the end. It's the method, it's the skill, it's the means. So Guru Rinpoche is a means. In a way, Guru Rinpoche, the whole principle of Guru Rinpoche is a means. So this is why now let's connect this to the Buddhist general concept, the Buddhist concept of awareness, mindfulness. Mindfulness is the most important discipline in Buddha Dharma. Awareness and the mindfulness. Right? Awareness. There's one question, like about vipassana. And I have to, there are so many different kinds of vipassana. And there are now, there are a few people who go to Goenka vipassana, for instance. Fantastic. I would encourage you to do that. But I like to point this out. Guru Rinpoche, whole Guru Rinpoche is a vipassana practice. Everything. If you are good at it, during the Thimbu Tsechu Drumche, you can go to that Guru Rinpoche dance and watch that dance. Supposedly for that, by the way. You are supposedly, and even more profound, the 8 Guru Rinpoche manifestation, Guru Tsenje, is supposedly the 8 pure and absolute nature of your 8 consciousness. So actually it is, now this depends on different sadhanas, but let me think about it. For instance, we have 8 consciousness. I'm not going to elaborate on, the eyes, ear, eye consciousness, ear consciousness, blah, blah, blah. There's one mind, just the consciousness. Within the mind, there are amazing amount of mental factors. And let me choose few to give you some idea. One of them is this is Lord Maitreya said. We love troubles. We may say we don't want trouble, but we are deeply in love with trouble. We are always fishing for trouble. I mean, you should check yourself. Right after you leave from here, you will be looking for trouble. Everything, you understand? You're always looking for trouble. We love trouble. This addiction towards the trouble, you understand? This sort of infatuation with the trouble is one of the mental factors. You understand? So, let's say during the Thimbu Drumche, when is that, by the way? Isn't it soon? Finished? Oh well, next year then. You go there, and since you have now acknowledged, you have to first acknowledge that you are a trouble, not troublemaker, you are a trouble, you love trouble, you are in love with the trouble. So you acknowledge that, you go there, you may not have you may have no time for whole, the Thimbu Drumche, the Tseju, it goes on the whole day, isn't it? You choose the Guru Sangye Dado. Guru Sangye Dado is a very wrathful and it's kind of a very wrathful, beautiful dance. And Thimpu people, they do it so well. I long time ago I went there and I watched videos, so beautiful. Anyway, Guru Sangye Dado. And there you just watch the Guru Sangye Dado dance and try to mingle this habit of fishing for trouble. This is being danced right in front of you as a Guru Sangye Dado. This is how, and then, this is a very wrathful dance and very swift and very, quick and, all the elements that we have, our love for trouble, We're just so efficiency. We're really very well sort of kind of master for, and we always find it also. We always find the trouble. Of course, when the trouble gets a little bit beyond your control, then you think it's a problem. Until then, it's not a problem. Until then, it's an excitement. Such as romance, it's such as whatever, doesn't matter, such as good food, I don't know, it's whatever. Okay. I was saying mindfulness is the core practice in Buddhism. To everything we do in the tantric ritual, for instance, we do it because we want to enhance and maintain that awareness. For this reason, we have Guru Rinpoche's statues, Guru Rinpoche dance, Guru Rinpoche's ne, holy places. You should go. And your attitude to when you go to, like Guru Rinpoche's ne, especially like Parotaksang, is to really discover this very sort of itchy kind of wild looking for trouble kind of mental factor, to discover that, to work with that. And here you have to underline my words. I'm not judging it. Your emotion, negative emotions, even though I have to use a language, so I have to use a language such as negative emotion. But if you want to make fire, you need wood. Likewise, if you want to enhance the wisdom, you can only produce wisdom, so to speak, by using the raw material of the wisdom, which is the emotions that you have, which you have plenty. You have to really, you don't have to worry about that one. Using that raw material, you could make something out of this. That's why we go to places like Ne. And then we do sadhanas. We do like chop. That's another one. This is something the Bhutanese are very good at it, actually. Like the 10th day, Guru Rinpoche day, we do chop. Chop means, I think the Sanskrit word is gana chakra. Gana is something to do with like gathering. It's not just gathering of food, by the way. It's a gathering of people, gathering of just whole situation. And there is a tradition of, like gathering. And usually our tradition is, bringing food, and then we do sadhanas, practices, invoking Guru Rinpoche. And again, in the sadhana, principle of sadhana is really to remember the Guru Rinpoche again and again and again. That's the whole point. So, in order to remind ourselves Guru Rinpoche, we chant mantras like Om Ahum, Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Hum. It's actually mindfulness. It's a means to generate mindfulness. When you chant the Guru Rinpoche mantra, on the most outer level, Guru Rinpoche mantra is the name of Guru Rinpoche. And remember, the moment you think of Guru Rinpoche, moment you have the devotion towards this, the Guru Rinpoche is materialized. Of course, devotion, blind devotion, educated devotion, enlightened devotion, all of this is another subject that we can go on and on talk about it. But as I have said this in the past also, we human beings are there's only one thing that we are capable, and that is to believe. You may pride yourself thinking that you are one of the most vicious non-believer, but you are blindly believing in the reason for why you don't believe. This is the only thing you have. Yes, sometimes what we believe is not supported by consensus, and we get a little bit, alienated. And many times what we believe ends up having a lot of other people also believe. It doesn't make whatever you believe more truer, but belief is a very, very doubt and a belief is this two component that you will have, and you have to have, by the way. This doubt and the belief is like, they're actually one. And it will go on for a long, 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 long time. And one day, you will never doubt Guru Rinpoche, but you will also not believe in him. And that is the time the means of Guru Rinpoche is finished. There will be when you reach there will be no Taliban anymore. There will be no lotus born or, marigold born or nothing. It doesn't matter. Everything, all visions of Guru Rinpoche, all sound is Guru Rinpoche, all thoughts of Guru Rinpoche. So this is just a principle of Guru Rinpoche that I just wanted to share this with you. I know there are a lot of people who are practicing Guru Rinpoche sadhana. So for those people, I'm going to give you a transmission of Guru Rinpoche mantra. I'm sure there are people who are not necessarily follower of Guru Rinpoche or not necessarily follower of Buddha Dharma. There may be people who are Sunnis, Shiites, Yazidis, Christians. You don't have to, just because you are here doesn't mean that you have received the Guru transmission, so do not worry, you don't have to think that you have been forcefully converted to Guru Rinpoche. You can just sit there and listen. But for those who are, those who wants to sort of get acquainted with the inner and the secret Guru Rinpoche through the means of the outer Guru Rinpoche, I will hear going to give you the transmission of Guru Rinpoche. So here what you can do is you can visualize the Guru Rinpoche on the top of your head or in your heart or in front of you. This is up to you. In the form of whatever you like. You can always refer to a traditional Guru Rinpoche, one that holds the Vajra and the Kapala and all of that, but it really doesn't matter. I'm serious, this one. I have to highlight this one. You can visualize the Guru Rinpoche in any form, whoever you happen to like, whatever form you happen to like that day. And mind you, some of you may be kind of a feminist here who don't want to have a male, image, always. Fine. we have a Yeshe Tsogel who is none other than the Guru Rinpoche himself. You understand? So, a lady, Yeshe Tsogel, or Memota Shishirin, if you want to be more connected to the home, the Bhutan. Fine, that is also good. So, visualizing on the top of your head or heart or in front of you, and just a little bit of elaboration. And then when you chant the mantra, think that from your heart comes lots of light, dispels all your defilements. It goes out and dispels everybody's defilement, suffering, cause of the suffering. Make them all get connected to the bodhicitta. Your light should go limitlessly, not just up to Chuzam, you understand? It should go much more. It should go to, who needs the most, like Obama, like, I don't know, somebody in Bangkok, everyone. And you should send this light, transform them. This is what you do. And then you might think, oh, well, this is just kind of a wishful thinking. But you cannot underestimate power of wish. As I said earlier, this is all we have. Wish. This is all we have. And you might as well just use it properly. Okay? So let me give you the transmission. Just as a tradition, I will tell you the lineage of my transmission of Guru Rinpoche comes from some of the greatest masters of this century, I should say. Jangchup Shing Rinpoche, Dzongsar Rinpoche, 16th Karmapa, Rangjung Rigbi Dorje, and Lama Sonam Zampo, my mother's father, and so many. So I just want to tell you that because the transmissions always needs a lineage, and the lineage is a very important cause and condition. Everything we do, if you have a good cause and condition, then the result is perfect. Like even to make a cup of coffee, it should be there, the whole cause and conditions. Otherwise, it doesn't come. Okay, so please visualize wherever you want to, and please chant after me. Om Ahung Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Hung. Om Ahung Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Hung. Om Ahung Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Hung. Okay, now visualize Guru Rinpoche's right hand. It doesn't matter actually, but it's in the southern, from the right hand, from the index finger, comes lots of scorpion, who are also none other than the Guru Rinpoche. Scorpion, scorpion, yeah. And these scorpions, first they multiply billions, and they all sort of like suck and chew all the negative defilements, your disease, your sickness, your, I don't know, all sorts of unfavorable circumstance and the situation. And then these scorpions travel all the way beyond Pinsoling, beyond, beyond this earth. You fill up the whole earth with scorpions. And these scorpions, they basically suck and eat the suffering. Probably here you can visualize, like Liberia, whatever, those who are going through all these problems. And the cause of these, And please think that and chant this mantra. Om Ahum Archik Nirchik Namo Bhagavate Hum Hum Pe Ahum Hum Pe Om Ahum Archik Nirchik Namo Bhagavate Hum Hum Pe Ahum Hum Pe Om Ahum Archik Nirchik Namo Bhagavate Hum Hum Pe Ahum Hum Pe. To all the sentient beings. Okay, as I said earlier, there has been a lot of questions. I don't think I will have time today to go through all of that. So, just there's kind of interesting question about, sexual orientation, like gays and lesbians. What to do with, how does this sort of fit with Bhutanese sort of the Buddhist world? And I like to just speak this a little bit. In Buddhism, as Shantideva said, wisdom is the most important. All the others are secondary. You understand? To see the truth is the most important. Morality, discipline, or even meditation, even so-called meditation, as precious as it sounds, if your meditation is not making you see the truth, you are basically rotting your butt. You understand? Sitting on something. It's useless. Okay, maybe it's going to relax you a little bit. It may sort of kind of make you calm down a little bit. So what? If you don't see the truth, a little bit of calm, a little bit of, that you can do, that you can achieve in many ways. So seeing the truth is always so important. I want to put that to you. Because so-called method is always mixed with a culture. Buddhist truth, such as the four seal of Buddhism, is never ever stained by the culture. You got that? Getting to that truth, yes, because it has to be delivered to the human beings. And when you deliver this to the human beings can only think in terms of culture. You understand? So, what I want to say is that, first of all, I want to say, therefore, your sexual orientation has got nothing to do with understanding or not understanding the truth. You could be gay, you could be a lesbian, you could be straight. We never know which one will get enlightened first. Probably lesbians. We never know. That it has got really nothing to do with it. But I know some of you will be argued by more traditional, people who may think that, these kind of practice comes in the category of logyem, which is a sexual misconduct. Now, here you have to be careful, because we mingle culture so much with culture and the situation so much with the truth, and we should not do that. I remember once somebody asked me, this was a long time ago, why Bhutanese, Gangkang, Mahakala rooms, why the ladies can't go? There's that kind of rule, why the ladies can't go. Simple, very simple answer. It's wrong. They should not stop. There's never in the Kanjur, there's not in the Tenjur, there's not in the Tantric text that the woman must be stopped entering to the Gangkang. I'm serious. These things are created by the, culturalist people who, this happens a lot though. Of course, if you happen to be in a group of people who are, misogynist, right? Buddhist misogynist, probably you should sort of keep quiet and sort of get along with that. Of course, you don't want, you should save your skin, of course. But the real truth is this. And I want to say this because I'm sure, there are people who may have a different orientation, sexual orientation, and I want to especially tell the parents, Bhutanese parents, those who, if they notice a slightly different manifestation from your children, you should not be. You should have a big understanding here, because you should not look at this as a disease. By the way, that's what I want to say. It's just a, some people like cottage cheese, and some people like Swiss cheese. It's a bit like that, really. it's and some people like both, and why not? But I also like to tell those who are into that kind, with that kind of orientation, you have to also be patient, because as much as we Bhutanese, we think we are such a great sort of species on this earth. We are very conservative. We are so stuck up with our own thing. We are the greatest. Everybody must love. Whole world must. We just cannot understand why others don't like Amadazi. We are that. There's so much self-righteousness, because this is like the greatest dish. How can you not like? And so we have that kind of mentality. So time is changing, and you should be really tolerant. Tolerant is even. You should not be tolerating this. Actually, you should be respecting it. Tolerance is not a good thing. If you are tolerating this, it means that you think it's something wrong, but you will tolerate. But you have to go beyond that. You have to actually respect this one. Well, anyway, this is something that I want to just put, okay? And then the second thing that I want to talk about is, there has been a lot of these questions about, I've already talked a little bit about this epidemic, so to speak, among our younger generations, I think especially, who, takes their life. I believe that something like this has happened just maybe like yesterday or today or something. Anyway, now this is a very complicated. I don't have a answer. Of course I do prayers. I hope that we will sort of get out of this sort of trend or epidemic or some sort of a group karmic phenomena. But why is it happening? I really don't know. Karmic manifestation is just so deep. We can, of course, blame it to the fast moving society, the pressure that our kids are going through, the stress that the modern society is bringing to our life. I don't know, alienation, because everybody's now, glued to the I don't know, a laptop or a Facebook or something like that, so we get alienated. Probably we are not hugging enough. Probably we are not, sort of rubbing each other enough. I mean, in a nice way. I mean, alienation. Alienation. I think maybe, there's so many channels to watch, so you get alienated. So there's so much alienation, probably because of that. And what can we do? I mean, having this awareness that things are changing, especially maybe maybe those who have loved ones who has gone through this kind of situation, those who are still remaining on this earth, their attitude. And also, again, I think the parents are quite important, parents and family. I think respect and some sort of acceptance and non-judging acceptance of these generation. Of course, I'm not saying that we should spoil them, because you are actually alienating them more. But listening, I was told, and I think this is very important. In fact, it was even taught in the sutras, power of listening. I think the parents, friends, uncles, aunties must listen, even though these kids may be not making any sense what they are talking about, but listening and really not just pretending to be listening, but really trying to understand what they are talking about. All of this could help. But anyway, the question is what is the Buddhist sort of take on this? Well, the Buddhist take on this is basically taking one's life is, first of all, it's a violence. Therefore, it is a negative action, so on and so forth. I'm sure this you understand. But one thing that people should really bear in mind is that this kind of act of taking one's own life is one of the most powerful habituating force. What I'm saying is that if you commit suicide, more likely you will commit suicide again and again and again, because it's like I guess the addiction to this thrill, if you like, ends up deeply rooted into your consciousness stream, I guess. So probably we don't want to have that kind of habit, to build that kind of, habit, that kind of addiction to end one's own life. And I think we could also generate the awareness of the preciousness of life. Preciousness of life. And I'm not even talking as a Buddhist. Just life. Yes, it could be. I'm sure so many of you are going through so much hard life, but the life is so powerful and it is so good. Yes, I'm sure you have problems, but you wake up in the morning and then you see a marigold and its yellowness you can see, and that's because you have a life. That life, I think, celebrating the life. And this I stress because most of the time, we are always arranging to have a life. You understand? We are always preparing for, okay, one day I'm going to settle, one day I'm going to buy a plot in Mudithang, and I'm going to build one cottage, and one day I'm going to do this, one day I'm going to do this. We are always preparing for the so-called life, but which is understandable, of course, we are worldly beings, but keep in mind, life is happening now. Life is happening now, and we should appreciate that. We should really celebrate this. Every day, just before you go to bed, you should really think that, it's a worthy of celebration. Yes, I'm sure you have so many problems and all of that, but the problems are also impermanent. And, relatively speaking, most of us here, we are very blessed. When I look at pictures of some of these people in the war zone, like in Kurdistan, like Syria, like Lebanon, the kids there, my God, they have never seen a toy in their life. They have, some of them have moved from one refugee camp to another like 3 times and 4 times and so on and so forth. So I think appreciation of the life, I think is important. Okay, lastly, there's this question about donating organ and blood. What is our take on that? As a Mahayana Buddhist, we in Bhutan, we practice Mahayana Buddhism. I will strongly suggest and encourage. Fantastic. If you can do it, like blood donation. Fantastic. Just take yourself as an example. If you happen to require, if you need organ, but if not, at least blood. And if this is going to make the decision, and if somebody is going to give you this, how much joy and how much, just think about that. And the others are just similar. So I would really encourage this. Of course, there are tantric teachings where you are not supposed to harm your body, so on and so forth. But apart from maybe few of us, probably I'm being very, very pessimistic here, but I don't know. I don't see many great tantric practitioners here. But if you do that, yes, by all means. But again, like donating blood, even for a tantric practitioner, I don't think it has that element of harming your body. If it is not harming your body, you see, in the Tantra, your body is the mandala. Your body is the chesham, by the way. Your body is the mandala. So you are supposed to really, really cherish and venerate that, and you should also, really, worship that, so to speak. For that, you need quite a vast training. Now, in the Mahayana, every breath that you breathe, every sweat, every, whatever endeavor you have, directly and indirectly, should try to benefit others. And I think donating blood is such a brave and very wholesome and virtuous and meritful action. So that's about it for this time. I hope you all have a good time.